Hello, everyone. Welcome to Universal English Guide, where learning English is simple, clear, and enjoyable. I'm Sophie.
And I'm Liam. Hello, everyone. We're really happy to have you here today.
So, Liam, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good, actually. Calm, a little tired, but in a good way. You know that feeling when the weekend just ends and you're like, okay, I did some things, I rested a bit, I'm ready.
Yes, exactly. That soft, tired feeling. Not exhausted, just settled.
Yeah, settled is a great word for it. And speaking of weekends, that's kind of perfect for what we're talking about today.
It really is. Today, we're just chatting about something very normal, very everyday, talking about your weekend in English.
Such a common topic. People ask this all the time. At work, with neighbors, with classmates. How was your weekend? What did you do this weekend?
And for English learners, this simple question can suddenly feel stressful.
Totally. Your mind goes blank. You think, I did things. I know I did things, but how do I say them?
Exactly. So today, we're going to talk about weekends the way real people do. No classroom feeling, just a natural conversation.
Like you're talking to someone in the elevator, or at the bus stop, or in the office kitchen while waiting for your coffee.
Yes, and we'll move slowly, repeat ideas in different ways, and show how to answer and continue the conversation.
So let's start very simply. Sophie, if I asked you, how was your weekend, what would you say?
I'd probably say it was nice, pretty quiet.
That's already a great answer. Short, natural, no pressure.
And then I might add one small detail, like I stayed home and did some cleaning.
Perfect. You don't need a big story. One or two details is enough.
Right, a lot of learners think they need something exciting to say.
But most weekends aren't exciting, and that's okay.
Exactly. Let's be honest. Many weekends are about chores, errands, and rest.
So let me try. You ask me.
Okay. Liam, how was your weekend?
It was pretty relaxed. I ran a few errands and spent some time at home.
See? That sounds completely natural.
And notice, I didn't explain everything. I didn't list every minute.
Yes, and if the other person is interested, they'll ask more. Like, oh yeah? What kind of errands?
Exactly. So let's continue that. Liam, what kind of errands did you run? I went to the grocery store, picked up a package, and cleaned my apartment of it.
Very real weekend. Very relatable.
And very useful English.
Now, let's talk about a common situation. Monday morning, someone at work says, how was your weekend?
And you're holding your coffee, still half asleep.
So you want something easy to say. You could say, it was good. I mostly rested.
Or, it was busy, but good.
Or even, honestly, it was quiet.
Quiet weekends are underrated.
They really are. Now, sometimes learners make this small mistake. They say, my weekend is good.
Ah, yes, that sounds a little off.
We usually talk about the weekend as something finished. So we say, my weekend was good.
Right, because it's over now. We're talking about it after it ended.
Exactly. So if someone asks on Monday, how was your weekend? You answer, it was good, not it is good.
That little change makes a big difference.
And don't worry if you forget sometimes. People will still understand you.
Absolutely. Communication first, perfection later.
Now, let's imagine another situation. A neighbor sees you outside taking out the trash.
Very realistic.
They smile and say, did you have a nice weekend?
What would you say?
I might say, yeah, it was nice. I worked in the garden a bit.
That's a great example. Simple activity, simple sentence.
And then the neighbor might say, oh, the weather was good for that.
And boom, small talk continues.
This is what weekends are great for in English conversations. They connect people.
Now let's talk about telling a slightly longer weekend story. Not long, just a bit more detail.
Okay, so maybe someone says, what did you do this weekend?
That question invites more information.
Right, so I might say, on Saturday, I cleaned my apartment and cooked at home. On Sunday, I went for a long walk and prepared for the week. It was simple, but nice.
That sounds very clear.
Notice how I'm just putting things in order, one day, then the next.
That helps the listener follow your story.
Exactly. You don't need fancy words, just clear order.
Here's a common learner mistake we hear. Someone says, on Sunday, I go to the store.
Yes, that can sound confusing.
Because you're talking about last weekend, not something you do every Sunday.
So it's better to say, on Sunday I went to the store.
Again, small change, big clarity.
And if you're ever unsure, just think, is this finished? If yes, talk about it that way.
That's a very gentle way to think about it.
Now, let's do a mini dialogue. I'll be the coworker.
Okay, I'm ready.
Hey, Liam, how was your weekend?
It was good, thanks. I stayed home and organized my place.
Nice. Did you have time to relax?
Yeah, a little. I watched some videos and cooked dinner at home.
That sounds perfect.
See how natural that feels?
Yes, and no pressure to impress.
Now let's talk about weekends that were busy.
Ah, yes. Sometimes weekends are full.
You can say, it was busy but productive.
Or, I had a lot to do, but it felt good.
For example, I cleaned, did laundry, and prepared meals for the week.
Very adult weekend.
Very realistic.
Another thing learners ask is, what if I did nothing special?
That's actually very easy in English.
You can say, I didn't do much.
Or nothing special, just relaxed.
Those sentences are completely normal.
Native speakers say that all the time.
Now, let's gently pause and look at something important here.
Okay?
When we talk about weekends, we often use words like did, went, stayed, cleaned.
These words help show that the time is finished.
Yes, because the weekend is over.
So when learners say, I stay home last weekend, it sounds a little confusing.
It's clearer to say I stayed home last weekend.
You don't need to think of it as a rule list.
Just think of it as telling a story about something that already ended.
That's it. And now let's keep going naturally.
Absolutely. So, Liam, did anything unexpected happen this weekend?
Actually, yes, I received a package I wasn't expecting.
Oh, those are the best.
It was something I ordered weeks ago and forgot about.
That's such a common experience.
And it became a small weekend moment I could talk about.
Exactly. Even small things are good conversation material.
Like fixing something at home.
Or talking to a neighbor.
Or reorganizing a closet.
Let's do another example. Imagine you're learning English and you want to practice.
You could say, this weekend I practiced my English a little.
That's a great thing to say.
And very encouraging.
Now, let's talk about asking questions back. That's important.
Yes, conversation is two ways.
So after you answer, you can say, how about you?
Simple, powerful phrase.
For example, it was quiet. I mostly rested. How about you?
And now the conversation continues.
That's how connections happen.
Now, sometimes people want to talk about food from the weekend.
Food is safe. Food is universal.
You can say, I cooked at home.
Or, I tried a new recipe.
No need to go into too much detail.
Unless the other person is interested.
Exactly.
Let's talk about tone. When you talk about your weekend, your voice matters.
Yes, even simple words sound different with different tone.
If you smile and say, it was nice, people feel that.
Even if the weekend was quiet.
Now, what about weekends that were stressful?
That's okay to share too.
You can say, it was a bit stressful, but it's okay now.
Very honest, very human.
English isn't only for happy stories.
It's for real life.
Let's do one more longer example.
Okay?
You meet a classmate on Monday.
They say, what did you do this weekend?
You say, on Saturday, I cleaned my apartment and went shopping. On Sunday, I rested and prepared for the week. It was simple, but nice.
That sounds great.
Clear, calm, complete.
And very achievable for beginner to intermediate learners.
Exactly.
Now, before we finish, let's give listeners some encouragement.
Yes, talking about your weekend is a skill.
And like any skill, it gets easier with practice.
You don't need perfect English.
You just need to start.
So after this episode, try this.
Think about your last weekend.
Say 3 sentences out loud about it.
Simple sentences.
I stayed home. I cleaned. I rested.
That's enough.
And next time someone asks you, you'll feel more confident.
We promise.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with us today.
If you enjoyed this lesson, please like the video.
Subscribe to Universal English Guide for more friendly English conversations.
And leave a comment in English about your weekend.
We'd love to read it.
See you next time. Keep practicing and take care.